Well, hello everybody. Welcome to a wonderful Wednesday right here on Mr. Eric Reads. I hope that you've had a great day and that you are geared up and ready to close out the last 2 days of your work week with a 3-day weekend coming up. But you're here for a book, and I got one for you. It's called The Great Kapok Tree. It's a tale of the Amazon rainforest. It's by Lynne Cherry. So sit back, relax, open up your ears and your minds to hear the story right here on Mr. Eric Reads. 2 men walked into the rainforest. Moments before, the forest had been alive with the sounds of squawking birds and howling monkeys. Now all was quiet as the creatures watched the 2 men and wondered why they had come. The larger man stopped and pointed to the great kapok tree, and then he left. The smaller man took the axe he carried and struck the trunk of the tree. Whack, whack, whack! The sounds of the blows rang through the forest. The wood of the tree was very hard. Chop, chop, chop. The man wiped the sweat that ran down his face and neck. Whack, chop, whack, chop. Soon the man grew tired, and he sat down to rest at the foot of the great kapok tree. Before he knew it, the heat and the hum of the forest had lulled him to sleep. A boa constrictor lived in that kapok tree, and he slithered down its trunk to where the man was sleeping. He looked at the gash that the axe had made in the tree. Then the huge snake slid very close to the man and hissed in his ear, "Senor, this tree is a tree of miracles. It is my home where generations of my ancestors have lived. Do not chop it down." A bee buzzed in the sleeping man's ear. "Senor, my hive is in the kapok tree. I have fly and go from tree to tree and flower to flower, collecting pollen. In this way, I pollinate the trees and the flowers throughout the rainforest. You see, all living things depend on one another." A group of monkeys scampered down from the canopy of the kapok tree. They chattered in the sleeping man's ear. "Senor, we have seen the ways of men. You chop down one tree, then come back for another and another. The roots of these great trees will wither and die, and there will be nothing left to hold the earth in place. When the heavy rains come, the soil will be washed away, and the forest will become a desert." A toucan, a macaw, and a cock of the rock flew down the canopy. Squawked the toucan. "You must not cut down this tree. We have flown over the rainforest and seen what happens once you begin to chop down the trees. Many people settle on the land, and they set fires to clear underbrush. Soon, the forest disappears. Where once there was life and beauty, only a black and smoldering ruin remains." A bright and small tree frog crawled along the edge of the leaf. In a squeaky voice, he piped in the man's ear. "Senor, a ruined rainforest means ruined lives, many ruined lives. You will leave many of us homeless if you chop down this great kapok tree." A jaguar had been sleeping along the branch in the middle of the tree. Because his spotted coat blended into the dappled light and shadows of the understory, no one had even noticed him. Now he leapt down and padded silently over to the sleeping man and growled in his ear. Senor, the Kapok tree is home to many birds and animals. If you cut it down, where will I find my dinner? Four tree porcupines swung down from branch to branch and whispered in the man's ear. Senor, do you know what we animals and humans need in order to live? It's oxygen. And Senor, do you know what trees produce? It's oxygen. If you cut down the forest, you will destroy that which gives us all life. Several anteaters climbed down the kapok tree with their young clinging to their backs. The unstriped anteater said to the sleeping man, Senor, you're chopping down this tree with no thought of the future, and surely you know what happens tomorrow depends upon what we do today. The big man tells you to chop down a beautiful tree. He does not think of his own children, who tomorrow must live in a world without trees. A three-toed sloth had begun climbing down from the canopy when the men first appeared. Only now did she reach the ground, plodding ever so slowly over to the sleeping man. She spoke in her deep and lazy voice. Senor, how much is beauty worth? Can you live without it? If you destroyed the beauty of the rainforest, on what would you feast your eyes? A child from the Yanomamo tribe lived in the rainforest, came to the sleeping man and knelt. He murmured in his ear, Senor, when you awake, please look upon us with all new eyes. The man awoke with a start. Before him stood the rainforest child, and all around him, staring, were the creatures who depended upon the great kapok tree. What wondrous and rare animals they were. The man looked up and saw the sun streaming through the canopy. Spots of the bright light glowed like jewels amidst the dark green forest. Strange and beautiful plants seemed to dangle in the air, suspended from the great kapok tree. The man smelled the fragrant perfume of their flowers, and he felt the steamy mist rising from the forest floor. But he heard no sound, for the creatures were strangely silent. The man stood and picked up his axe. He swung back his arm as though he was going to strike the kapok tree. Suddenly he stopped. He turned and looked at the animals and the child. He hesitated. Then he dropped the axe and walked out of the rainforest. The End. The Great Kapok Tree by Lynne Cherry, a book that was loaned to us from Miss Kitchens. We appreciate this so much. Thank you, Barrett, for picking this book out for us. Hope you guys enjoyed that tale and how important it is that we recognize that our actions have consequences. It impacts, it changes the way everybody else exists. It changes what we do. It changes who we are, for better or worse. So just keep that in mind. A great book to put it into perspective for us. So without further ado, please continue to enjoy your Wednesday evening. Please be safe and healthy, wash your hands, and practice kindness in everything that you do. Until tomorrow, Mr. Eric, signing off.